Hello, and welcome to the Designing with Love podcast. I am your host, Jackie Pellegrin, where my goal is to bring you information, tips, and tricks as an instructional designer. Hello, GCU students, alumni, and fellow educators. Welcome to episode 37 of the Designing with Love podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Sakina Brandford, who completed her master's degree in instructional design at GCU. Welcome, Sakina.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, me too. So when did you earn your master's degree in instructional design from GCU?
I earned my master's degree in January of this year, 2025, at the conclusion of our instructional design capstone course.
Great. Wonderful. And I believe you had a chance to come to Phoenix and come to graduation in person. So how was that for you? Did you like that?
I really enjoyed it. I wish I could have stayed a little bit longer, but I loved, coming to the campus. I was able to see a little bit of the campus at the arena. I was there with my husband and daughter, and we really enjoyed the ceremony. It was super exciting. Everyone, for its graduation, everyone's super excited. It was great to be in a room with so many educators and getting an advanced degree finally.
Yes.
After several years being in the profession.
That's great. I love it. And being able to come in person, there's nothing like that. So that's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully you'll have a chance to come back to Phoenix when it's cooler, because it's warming up. It's already in the hundreds now. It's almost June and we're in the hundreds now. So we're triple digits. So hopefully when it cools off, usually around, I would say like around Halloween, like late October is when it starts to get really nice. And so, yeah, hopefully maybe in the fall you can come back and visit when it's nice and cool. Come up and visit Grand Canyon and things like that. There's so many great things to do up north. So it's a lot of fun. So,
Right.
Yeah, definitely would like to. Yeah. And then we can maybe go do something fun. So that would be great. Wonderful.
Right.
So what aspects of the program did you enjoy the most when you were taking the classes and everything?
Well, first, I would say I really enjoyed that GCU caters to full-time working adults. So I felt like being able to take one course at a time and concentrate on that one course, it really helped me be successful in the program. After about the second course, I was adjusted to the new schedule and knew exactly when assignments and discussions were due. And like I said, it really allowed me to be successful because I had started a master's program many years ago through another university. And I wanted to take one course at a time, but due to the structure of the programs at that time, and it was completely online as well, but I was unable to really complete it in the time frame that they really required if I was doing one course at a time for 9 weeks.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed being at GCU and being an online student in the IB program. I feel like it really is structured well with all the courses, one after another. They build on each other and you are gaining skills over time. And that first introduction course, it really sets you up for success if you really try to use some of those tips and things that you learn in the first course during throughout the rest of the program, because they really are helpful. From, I would say, even looking at some of the job postings, that's one of the assignments that we had in the very first couple of courses.
Yes, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and if you really just kind of peek into those things in job postings throughout your time in the program, it helps you to know what skills that employers are looking for, and it can motivate you along the way when you're working on your assignments.
Yes,
in the master's program.
That's great. So it helps to kind of pave that path for you and see what you need to do to get towards that dream job that you want. And yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah. And you're even utilizing I would imagine you were utilizing the skills that you learned in each course right away. So it's not like you had to wait years, right, to apply them. You were able to do that on the spot because of the project-based method of the way the courses are laid out in the program.
Right. I definitely like the fact that they were project-based, and I tried to focus on, I would say, corporate instructional design. And even though I was an educator, I was very familiar with education, but wanting to be more marketable to businesses and corporations, I decided to take on projects in the program that were, I mean, I had some education based, but I wanted to be more broad with my projects, and think about industry training
I love
and
that.
business training.
Yes. Yeah. I've heard that from other students in the program too that I've had classes with or that I've interviewed here on the podcast, that they realized early on that they needed to be diversified in what they were doing their projects on, and not just
Mm-hmm.
focusing on maybe the area that they were most familiar with, but branching out.
Right.
And, yeah, really looking at those areas, because then if you just stay in one lane, per se, as they say, and then
Mm-hmm.
all your artifacts are going to be based upon that. But then if you find a really great job in another area, then that employer may say, oh, well, you have great artifacts, but they're all focused on this. And, what does your diverse portfolio look like? And so
Right.
that can be hard, because it seems like a lot of employers want to see that diversity and want to see that you're able to expand out into different industries and look at those areas as well.
Especially since instructional design will, at least a big chunk of it does focus on adult learning. And so you want to be able to show your skills, and how you are able to structure courses for adults versus K-12,
Right.
or even higher ed, because
That's true.
it's different. It's different.
Right. Yeah. It's every segment is different, and what their needs are and how you approach it, right? How you even approach the Addy model or the SAM model. It's all different, and how we
Mm-hmm.
go about approaching that. Because I've worked in higher education for a long time, but I also worked in corporate for a little while, and just seeing the difference between those two was interesting. There were some similarities, but there were also
Mm-hmm.
some key differences in how they approached instructional design, and like utilizing the ABC model to write objectives. They did that in where I worked when I worked in the higher education spectrum, but did corporate, and helped employ and doing employee training. But then when I
Mm-hmm.
went to work at GCU, and I was like, oh, they don't use the ABC method to write to write objectives. So it was kind of interesting, and so having to kind of shift my mindset and go from employee training and development in that corporate education world, and then having to shift to curriculum design in higher education was a shift for me. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's interesting how each one is unique and how they go about doing that. So, and even
Right.
like military and other nonprofit and things like that. I know some people that work in those industries, and
Mm-hmm.
it's different there too. And so, but it's very interesting because instructional design kind of came out of that need for training the military in
Right.
World War II. So it's very interesting, the history of it and how it's evolved over time, and been able to, kind of take that and bring it into different industries. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it
That's
is,
great.
and the fact that people are in the field are still referring to the Addy model and use it as the standard, even though there are many design processes that have deviated from the Addy model, they still consider the Addy model. And when you look at a lot of job postings, they do list the Addy model there,
Right.
even though they may not really use it so rigid, and they use other agile processes. It's amazing that it has really stuck the test of time, and people feel like it's a really good model. I had a colleague once. He moved into K-12 after retiring as an instructional designer, And he told me that he actually took courses under the guy who developed the ADDIE model before it was even called the ADDIE model. So he was really proud of that.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
it is. Um, and so it really has stood the test of time with many other learning theories, because there's so many.
Right. Absolutely. That's true. Great. So what kind of work do you currently do, Sakina, right now?
I just recently landed one of my first full-time roles in instructional design as an instructional design specialist with a company that supports the oil and gas industry.
Oh, wow.
And
That's exciting.
it is. And so going from K-12 classroom teacher to in the corporate world is definitely a shift in change. And I'm only within the first week of this job. And, I keep pinching myself like, wow, this is I really did a whole, career change. It's kind of funny, but
Yeah, it shows it's possible, right?
right. So they kind of started me out with a small project. I did some used AI voiceover to update a course, and then I'm going to be starting another course for security officer training. So I'll have to do some design and I'm using articulate storyline. So I would
Oh,
definitely encourage um, folks in the program to really try to learn those industry softwares that a lot of companies are using, because they're really looking for folks that are that really understand how to use the software.
right. Because they don't really have the time to do the training on the software. They want someone that can come in and not necessarily know every single feature of it, but at least know enough to where you can create engaging content and not have to spend 2 weeks learning the software, right? Because they want you to hit the ground running pretty much, aside from training and things like that and learning about the company. But they really want you to kind of be up and running pretty quickly, right?
Right. Yeah. So they want someone who can, like you said, go ahead and get started designing those courses, putting content. A lot of companies still have a lot of content on PowerPoint or documents, and they are trying to upgrade to more e-learning. And so even though they may have a lot of e-learning courses already, there is still content that they're getting from their SMEs that could be, on
Right.
PowerPoint, that they're needing or wanting to convert over. And the company that I work for, they're global companies. So I'm working with SMEs that are working in different parts of the world. So it's really interesting.
Wow, that's exciting. It's interesting too, because when companies have their materials on PowerPoint, and the notion has been, when people aren't familiar with instructional design, they think that we can just take a PowerPoint and we can just upload it, convert it, and no problem. And I've even heard some people in the company I work for that aren't instructional designers and don't really understand what we do. And one person said to me, well, Captivate is like a glorified PowerPoint. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's more than that. And so I corrected him, and I'm like, with all due respect, so when I showed him some of the things I had done on Captivate and Storyline and things like that, and he's like, oh, there's more to that. And I was like, yes, it's not just glorified PowerPoint. There's more than that. So you just can't, yeah, you just can't take a PowerPoint and then plop it into something and call it a done deal. There's so much more to it, adding that interactivity to it and things like that, that PowerPoint doesn't have a lot of times. So, that's exciting. Yeah. So you're creating a good, robust catalog for them of different training and courses that they can be able to access anytime on the go, right? So that's great.
Yeah, and as an instructional designer, you're going to continuously learn because technology is going to advance and change, and there's additional software like Camtasia and Beyond, and more video editing software that it's integrated into all the projects. And so it's just learning a lot, even, beyond the things that some of the projects that I made at GCU. And a lot of the software that I used was very familiar and similar, but technology advances. So you have to be willing to try to learn more and more just to keep up with the trends.
Right. That's so true. And you mentioned a little bit about AI earlier. So are there any other specific areas in which you're expanding your knowledge and skills in the field now that you're in the field and you're in an instructional design position now?
Well, for some of the portfolio work samples, I did use a little bit of AI, pretty much Microsoft Copilot. If I wanted, since I'm not the subject matter expert, if I wanted more content that I wanted to put in, maybe a sales training or some business leadership training work sample that I have on my portfolio, I did use Copilot to gather some of that information. But on the job, different companies now, they have their proprietary information. They want to keep it private and in-house. And so they are purchasing their own AI tools to use. I haven't really gotten into any of those tools on the job yet, but many of our courses, since it is a global company, they're taking the storyline files and the other video files and translating them into multiple languages across the world. And so they use AI for that.
That's
and
exciting.
That storyline is also moving into that area as well, where they can translate the course in multiple languages within the Articulate software.
That's amazing. I love that. It's amazing how AI is really transforming all aspects of our lives, right? And instructional design is one of them, where it's changing so much. It's amazing how you can take that and translate something, just, take something that's in English and translate it to any language you want. Wow, that's amazing. And that's neat too that you mentioned that they have that they're working on getting a proprietary type of closed AI system, which is what we have where I work, because we don't want the curriculum getting out there or any other of our types of information that's proprietary, like you mentioned. So I can see a lot of companies doing that and having a closed system where you can use the AI and it's not going to. None of the information is going to get out on the web, because once it gets out there, it's hard to get it back. So it's important.
Right. And I mean, personally, I've been just a little bit apprehensive about using AI, but I've embraced it now. I would say in the last maybe month or so within the GCU program. And then as I add it to my portfolio, I have embraced using AI a little bit more, but I am very cautious of my own information that I'm feeding into AI. I try not to. I mean, some people are like going all in and they may pay for the ChatGPT programs. I mean, I currently don't do any of that, so I don't want to put anything input into AI that I don't want shared with the rest of the world forever.
Right, exactly. So you're very cautious. I'm the same way. I'm very cautious about what I share too. Yeah.
Yes, but I do hope that it does make work efficient. I have spoken to some fellow instructional designers with the certification program that I went through, and she was saying that she uses it for design, and it has made her work a lot faster and easier to get through. So it saves a lot of time.
That's great. Yeah. And it's great too, because you can use it for other things like email. I use it for email sometimes. Like if I look at an email and I'm like, maybe that could use some tweaking a little bit. I'll take the email and I'll put it in our proprietary AI software and I'll say, can you kind of polish this a little bit, and just where it still has my voice, but it's maybe polished a little bit, maybe a little shorter, because sometimes I tend to kind of put too much detail in my emails and I'm like, okay, I need to shorten this up a little bit, or just even for this podcast, I do some things too with that and have it help me write outlines and then just tweak it a little bit, make sure it's accurate. But it's really neat because it's a great way to get those first draft ideas and things like that.
Sure.
And I use it with my SMEs as well, with program design and things like that, and trying to get that information. So it's really exciting to have that. So
yes, and I guess it's best not to be afraid of it. Just use it, but know that it still needs the human touch. It still needs to be edited and reviewed, and use it to help you in your work.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Great. So what are some tips and advice that you can share with those who are currently in the master's program in instructional design at GCU? Hello, I have some exciting news to share with all of my listeners. There is a feature called Fan Mail. What this allows you to do is send me a text message anytime during the episode. There's a link located at the top of the description in each episode, and it says Send Jackie a Text Message. So when you click on that link, you'll be able to send me a message letting me know what you thought about the episode and if you have any ideas for future episode content as well. I look forward to seeing your text messages. Thank you.
As I mentioned before, definitely take advantage of many of those things that you learned in the very first course. Some of those things were getting to know what the job postings look like so you can prepare yourself while you're in the program. And speaking of the job postings, I would recommend, if you are not already on LinkedIn or Indeed, go ahead and get a profile. And, I started really slowly, making connections with others on LinkedIn, but it really helps when you build up your network on LinkedIn so that whenever you are actively applying for jobs, recruiters out there will actually see your post or see your profile. So I would start working on that right away so you can build up, connections at least above 500. So,
right.
People will be able to see your profile. And other than that, professional organizations. I had a little bit of time this past year since I resigned from my full-time teaching job in the summer to be more prepared for the transition into instructional design. I started looking at the different professional organizations and the different software companies and some of their webinars or trainings that they would offer for free. And that really helped in understanding what was happening in the field and reading articles, even if you don't have time to attend webinars or don't want to pay for them. Looking at their articles and looking for, those organizations that allow you to gain some part-time jobs. I think you, Jackie, mentioned Upwork to me, and I did look on Upwork for jobs, and so I do have a profile there, and I think that helps. And I would say look at those local career fairs or anyone in your local network that could help you with your resume. Get it reviewed and just be ready for it. Because that, for me at least, I definitely wanted to be job ready. I definitely wanted to gain employment in the field. So I think all of those things really helped me to get my foot in the door and learn from other instructional designers. They're your source of information.
Right. Really building that network. Right. Because you want to go beyond what you're learning from your instructor or your professor in the classes, and want to be able to actually see what's going on in the field out there. So that's good. Yeah.
But the program at GCU, it sets you up. It puts you, it makes you ready to do those things. So many of the discussion posts we had us searching for different articles and different things that were happening in the field and how to actually design our courses. I know micro learning was something that I really enjoyed learning about. And so many of those discussion boats, when you were doing your research, it lends itself to seeing what was happening in the field and what's going on with different professional organizations or those experts out there that are, trying to teach others in the field on the best practices. So everything that we learn in the program, you're definitely going to use. And I really want to advise people to get help from your professors. Don't try to struggle too much because everyone was very helpful. If you just reach out. And so that's one thing that I had learned. I had a great success advisor that really helped as well, always checked on me. And used the library. When I first started out in the program, I did reach out to the library staff. They will help you with some of the research projects if you ask. And so I wanted to take full advantage of the opportunities that were offered at the university. And so I would really advise others to do the same.
Right. Yeah. Because you're not in it alone. You have a support system. So that's important. Right.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to advising and, like you said, the library and really utilizing that. Because I think sometimes I went through an online program myself with my master's in instructional design. And sometimes you can feel a little isolated with the program going to school online. And so having that connection and support is so vital to success with an online program. And like you said, being able to, dip your toes in things while you're in the program and things like that is so important, because so many times programs are built to where they want to teach you all the theory, but where's the practice in it? So you need to have theory and practice simultaneously, right? So being able to have that, so that way you build your confidence, and so that's wonderful. I love that. Great.
And it's not easy to do especially when you have a full-time job. And
right.
So if and this was a little bit harder for me, I toward the end of the program tried to, build more of a working connection with other folks in the cohort. That can be difficult because everyone is busy and have their own lives. But if you can find a couple of people that you can link up with or converse with on different projects, it will be helpful because you guys can give each other advice and give, real authentic feedback on some of your work samples or your assignments before you turn them in. But that's helpful, but it can be very difficult as a full-time employee with a family. And so you do the best you can, but those are some of the things that I definitely would recommend folks to do while they're in the program.
That's great. Thanks, Sakina. So before we wrap up, are there any other ideas or thoughts you wanted to share with the audience?
I would say I've given some of the tips and things that I did, and the other thing I guess that I did that may be a little different from others, I did seek out a certification program in instructional design. I know some of the professional organizations, they will offer a course on Captivate or a course on Articulate Storyline, and you can use Udemy or even some of those LinkedIn courses to help you with some of the software. And that's another thing that I feel is really vital if you want to really get out there and land a job where you won't have to teach yourself how to use some of the tools. You'll have a little bit of a head start. You're not going to know everything, of course, but you'll be able to be confident in your interviews. And I even asked the current job that I have, I was asked in the interview specific questions about our Articulate Storyline to make sure that I was actually using and had used the program. So
wow. So it's good to be prepared and know the software and even the models and theories, right? Because you just never know what they're going to ask you.
True. Very true. How you would actually, I'm hearing that some some folks are asked, they're given some content and they are actually having to put a design a course. And once you get further into the interviews, level 2 or 3 of the stage of interviews, they're asking people to here take this content, design this course, and present it to us in the interview.
Wow,
So,
that's great. I like that because it really it allows you to showcase your knowledge and skills, and that you don't just have, it's not simply a degree. It's something where you have really learned the knowledge and the skills, and those what they call the KSAs, right? Knowledge, skills, and abilities. Yeah, that's great. Wow. And that's good to be prepared for, because you don't want to be caught off guard and go, oh no, I don't know how to answer that question, or I wouldn't know how to do that. So yeah, that's good.
And with
I
practice,
love that. Yeah.
With practice, you're going to have those interviews too. I
Right.
definitely had those too, but with more, the more interviews you have, the more confident and the easier they are.
Right. So just to keep doing the interviews, and if one doesn't work out, just keep going, right? And try not to be disappointed in it, because the right one will come along, and that's what happened with you. So you got the right one, and it sounds like you're able to really expand your knowledge and skills even more so. So that's great. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Sakina, for your time. I appreciate it. And again, congratulations on the job. And it sounds like you're going to go really far with this position, and then also with other areas too, as you get more familiar with things and you get more comfortable, then it sounds like you'll be able to do a lot in the field. So it's great.
All right. Thank you. And thank you again. I do look forward to, getting back into education at some point and teaching others some of the skills that I have learned as an instructional designer, as well as a former educator, because I'm still very much passionate about education and preparing future educators in the profession. So those are some of the things I'm also looking forward to.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, maybe in the company you're working for, you can eventually go in to do professional development for the employees and things like that, and then you're on out and teach the next generation. It's a fun experience. I enjoy doing it myself, so I think you would enjoy it as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakina. Appreciate it. Thank you for taking some time to listen to this podcast episode today. Your support means the world to me. If you'd like to help keep the podcast going, you can share it with a friend or colleague, leave a heartfelt review, or offer a monetary contribution. Every act of support, big or small, makes a difference, and I'm truly thankful for you.